Have you ever wondered what books the smartest people in the world actually read? I'm not talking about the usual bestsellers or books with catchy titles. I'm talking about the books that professors at Harvard, Stanford, and Yale truly recommend, the books they believe can shape your thinking, change how you understand the world, and even guide how you live your life. These are not just feel-good self-help books. These are books that go deep. Books that teach you how to think better, make smarter decisions, understand other people, and grow as a person. And here's the best part. You don't need a fancy degree to read them. Anyone can pick them up, read slowly, and apply the lessons. You might be wondering, why should I care about what professors read? Well, top professors spend their whole lives learning, teaching, and researching what really works. When they recommend a book, it's because it has depth, insight, and long-term value. In this video, I'm going to share 10 powerful books, all backed by experts from the world's best universities. I'll explain what each book is about in simple words and show you exactly how you can use the ideas in your daily life. So if you're tired of surface-level advice and you're ready to think like the world's smartest minds, stick with me. Because by the end of this video, you won't just have a reading list, you'll have a roadmap to becoming a better thinker, a better decision maker, and a better version of yourself. Let's get started. So why does this matter? Why should we care about the books that Harvard, Stanford, or Yale professors are reading or recommending? Here's the truth. Professors from these top universities don't waste time on books that don't help. They look for books that teach real thinking, not just facts, but how to question, how to solve problems, and how to make smart choices. They recommend books that help students grow in both life and work. And it's not just an opinion. Research backs this up. A Harvard study found that students who read a wide variety of thoughtful, challenging books actually score much higher in things like problem solving, critical thinking, and creativity. In other words, the right books train your brain to think smarter, not just memorize more. Think about that for a second. Would you rather just know random facts, or actually become the kind of person who can solve problems, stay calm under pressure, and make good decisions? Books help you become that person. And here's the best part, you don't have to go to Harvard to get this benefit. You can just read what they read. Start where they start. These books are available to all of us. So before we jump into the list, I want you to ask yourself a simple question. What kind of smart thinker do I want to become? Do you want to lead better, understand people better, make stronger choices with less regret? The books we're about to explore can help you do that. Let's take that first step, one book at a time. Let's start with one of the most powerful books ever written about how we think, Thinking, Fast and Slow, by Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel Prize winner. Now don't worry, this isn't a science textbook. It's actually a very eye-opening guide to how your brain works every single day. Kahneman says we all have two systems of thinking. System 1 is fast. It's quick, automatic, emotional. This is the part of your brain that helps you react without thinking, like when you slam the brakes in traffic or recognize someone's face. System 2 is slow. It's thoughtful, logical, and takes effort. You use it when you're solving a hard math problem or making a big life decision. Here's the catch. Most of us rely too much on fast thinking. We make snap judgments. We assume things. We react without stopping to think. And that's where we make mistakes. In money, relationships, even our health. This book teaches you how to slow down your brain when it really matters. To pause, reflect, and look at the situation more clearly. Here's an example. Have you ever sent a message you regretted later, just because you were angry in the moment? That's fast thinking in action. But what if, instead, you had taken a deep breath, waited 5 minutes, and then responded calmly? That's what this book helps you do. It teaches you to recognize your mental autopilot and choose a better path. So here's the big takeaway. Fast thinking is useful, but slow thinking saves you from regrets. If you want to make better decisions in life, work, and relationships, this book is a must-read. Let's move to book 2. Let's move on to something that doesn't sound exciting at first, but it's actually one of the most powerful tools you can have. The Elements of Style by Strunk and Haidt. This little book is all about writing, but not writing in a fancy way. It's about writing clearly. And in today's world, clear communication is everything. Whether you're sending an email, applying for a job, building a business, or just sharing your ideas, the way you write affects how people see you. This book teaches you how to write shorter, sharper, and smarter. No fluff, no confusion, just simple, direct words that make an impact. Here's something crazy. A Yale study showed that students who studied this book started writing better essays, clearer, more focused, and easier to understand. Professors could tell right away. And guess what? This doesn't just help in school. It helps in real life. Think about it. Have you ever read a message or an article that just confused you? Maybe the person used long words or went in circles. You probably stopped reading, right? Now imagine you write in a way that makes people say, wow, that was easy to follow. That made sense. That's powerful. This book gives you simple tips like cutting extra words, using active voice, and making your sentences flow better. It's not about being a professional writer. It's about being clear. And clear is smart. So here's the big takeaway. Learn to write better, and you'll think better, speak better, and stand out from the crowd. Let's move on to the next book on our list, and this one's all about habits. Now let's talk about a classic that every smart person should read. And not just smart in school, but smart with people. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This book has been around for over 80 years, and it's still changing lives today. Why? Because success doesn't only come from what you know, it comes from how well you connect with people. Whether you're a student, a team leader, a content creator, or someone just trying to get along better with others, this book gives you real useful tools. Things like how to make people feel important, how to handle disagreements without fighting, how to get people to listen to you and actually like doing it. Let me give you a real example. One college student said their group project always had drama, arguments, delays, no teamwork. Then he read this book and applied just one principle: give honest and sincere appreciation. He started thanking his teammates, listening more, and showing respect. You know what happened? Their next group project got 15% higher, and the group worked better than ever. Small changes, big difference. Here's a question. When was the last time you really listened to someone instead of just waiting for your turn to speak? That's what this book teaches. Real people skills. Not fake charm, not manipulation, just simple ways to become more thoughtful, kind and respected. So here's the takeaway. You don't have to be the smartest in the room. You just have to be the one who makes others feel valued. Ready for the next one? Let's talk about how to build habits that stick. Alright, let's talk about something that matters way more than talent. It's grit. Angela Duckworth, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, spent years studying what makes people successful. And here's what she found. It's not IQ, not good looks, not even talent. It's something much simpler but harder to develop. Grit. So what is grit? It's a mix of passion and perseverance, not giving up when things get hard. Staying committed even when you feel like quitting. She followed students, teachers, athletes, even West Point cadets, and the ones who succeeded weren't the ones who started strong. They were the ones who kept going. Here's a real story. A young athlete was great at first, but then he got injured. Most people would have quit, but he came back. He trained harder, smarter. He didn't just rely on his natural talent anymore. Fast forward. He not only returned, he broke records. Why? Grit. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you stuck with something, even when it stopped being exciting? Here's the truth. Grit beats talent when talent doesn't try. And if you're thinking I'm not born gritty, good news, grit can be built. Start with small daily habits. Set long-term goals. And when you hit a wall, instead of quitting, pause, reset and push through. Here's the takeaway. Success isn't about going fast. It's about not stopping. And grit, not talent, is what helps you get there. Let's move on to a book that explains why we do what we do and how to change it. Let's be honest, the world feels more divided than ever. People are arguing online, at dinner tables, even in workplaces. Why can't we just agree? Or at least understand each other? That's exactly what The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt helps us figure out. He's a social psychologist, and this book is backed by years of research from top universities, including Yale and NYU. Haidt all he had explains that we don't think first and then feel. We feel first and then explain it later. Think of your brain like an elephant and a rider. The elephant is your emotions. The rider is your logic. And guess what? The elephant is way bigger and often takes the lead. That's why people get into heated debates. They're not just talking facts, they're defending values, identity, and emotions. Haidt also says we all have different moral taste buds. Just like some people love spicy food and others don't. Some of us value fairness, others care more about loyalty, tradition, or freedom. And none of them are wrong, just different. Now imagine if we understood that better. How many fights could we avoid? How many bridges could we build? This book helped one student learn how to lead a diverse team. Instead of arguing, they listened more, respected differences, and the team got stronger. Here's the takeaway. If you want to work with people, lead others, or just have more peaceful conversations, this book is gold. Because the more you understand why people think the way they do, the easier it becomes to connect, even when you don't agree. Ready for a book that shows you how to change your habits without burning out? Let's go. Let's start with a question. What if stress, struggle, and failure could actually make you stronger? Not just survive but grow because of it? That's the big idea in Antifragile by Nassim Taleb. He says there are 3 kinds of things in the world. 1. Fragile, things that break under stress, like glass. 2. Strong, things that stay the same under stress, like steel. 3. Antifragile, things that get better when stressed, like muscles. Yes, muscles. When you lift weights, you tear the muscle fibers a little. It hurts, but they grow back even stronger. That's antifragile. Taleb says we should live more like that. Try new things. Take small risks. Learn from mistakes. Even fail. But fail in ways that teach us. Let's say you want to start public speaking. At first it's scary. You might mess up. But every time you do it, you get better. Your fear gets smaller. Your skills grow. That's anti-fragility in action. A real-world example? One Stanford student created a side project that failed 3 times, but with each version she learned more. Until the 4th idea worked. Now it's a full-time business. Without those failures, the win wouldn't have happened. The takeaway? Don't just avoid discomfort, lean into it, a little at a time. Stress, challenge, even small failures, they're not your enemies. They're training you. Because life isn't about being fragile and perfect. It's about becoming anti-fragile, flexible, brave, and always growing. So next time something feels tough, ask yourself, how can I use this to grow stronger? That mindset alone can change everything. Let me ask you this. Have you ever believed something for years and then suddenly realized it was completely wrong? That's exactly what this book, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions by Thomas Kuhn, is all about. It's one of the most important books ever written about how progress really happens, not just in science, but in life. Here's the big idea. We don't move forward by adding more facts. We grow by challenging old beliefs. Kuhn calls this a paradigm shift. Let's break that down. A paradigm is a set of beliefs or rules we follow, like the earth is flat, or phones should only be used to call. At first, these ideas feel true. Everyone agrees. But eventually, problems start showing up. Things don't work the way we thought. And someone brave comes along and says, what if we're thinking about this all wrong? That's when a shift happens. A real-world example? Steve Jobs. When he was building the iPhone, the common idea was, phones are for calling, computers are for work, cameras are for photos. Jobs asked, why not combine them? That simple question led to a huge shift and changed the world. This book teaches us. If you want big breakthroughs in work, school or life, you can't be afraid to question the old way of thinking. Here's your takeaway. When something isn't working, don't just try harder. Step back. Look at the bigger picture. Maybe the rules you're following are the problem. Progress doesn't come from more effort. It comes from better thinking. And sometimes, thinking differently is the smartest thing you can do. Have you ever wondered how some giant companies, like Nokia, Kodak or Blockbuster just disappeared? They were leaders in their industries. They had money, talent, and loyal customers. So why did they fail? This is the mystery that The Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton Christensen helps us understand. Here's the main idea. Big companies often fail not because they're doing something wrong, but because they're doing everything right. Sounds confusing, right? They focus on improving their current products. They listen to their biggest customers. But while they're busy doing that, a small company shows up with a new idea. At first, that new idea seems too basic or too cheap. But over time, it gets better and better, until suddenly it replaces the old one. This is what happened when Netflix replaced Blockbuster, smartphones replaced cameras, Google Docs replaced Microsoft Office for many users. It's called disruptive innovation, and it can happen in companies, schools, or even our personal lives. So what's the lesson for us? Sometimes, we get so focused on doing what we've always done, that we miss new opportunities. Even in our own work, we might avoid learning a new skill or trying a different approach because this has always worked. But here's the truth. To stay relevant, you have to keep reinventing yourself. Ask yourself, what's changing in the world, and how can I grow with it? Don't wait for disruption to happen to you. Be the one who sees it coming and adapts. Because in today's fast-moving world, the real danger is not change, it's staying the same. Have you ever wondered why people behave the way they do, even when it doesn't make sense? The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins gives us a surprising answer. It's not always about what people want, it's about what their genes want. Wait, what? Let me explain. Dawkins says that we, as humans, are like machines built by our genes. And our genes have one main goal: to survive and get passed on. So everything we do, our habits, our feelings, even our choices, may be influenced by this hidden drive to help our genes survive. That sounds selfish, right? That's where the title comes from. Now, this doesn't mean people are bad or greedy. It just means there are often deeper reasons behind our actions, even if we don't realize them. For example, someone being overly protective might seem annoying, but it could come from a deep instinct to protect family. In business, some companies cooperate with others, not because they're kind, but because it helps both survive long term. In marketing, people may buy things not for the product, but to improve their status or attract attention. That's the gene talking. So how does this help you? Understanding this concept gives you power. Power to understand why people act the way they do. Power to not take things personally. Power to make smarter choices in relationships, business, and life. Next time someone does something confusing or selfish, pause and think, what might be the hidden motivation here? Because once you understand the deeper reasons behind behavior, you stop getting frustrated and start seeing clearly. Have you ever asked yourself, why am I here? Or, what's the point of all this? Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl is one of the most powerful books ever written to help answer those questions. Frankl was a psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps during World War II. He lost his family, his home, everything. But what kept him going? Meaning. He realized that people who had something to live for, even just a reason to wake up the next day, were more likely to survive. And not just in camps. He believed this applies to all of us. You see, life can be painful. You might face stress, loss, confusion, or failure. But Frankl says, you can handle almost anyhow if you have a strong why. That means if you know your purpose, even if it's small, you become stronger. Here's a simple example. Let's say your why is to help your family, or to build something meaningful, or to make someone smile. That gives you fuel to keep going, even when life gets hard. Frankl also reminds us, we can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. That's real freedom. Ask yourself, what gives you meaning? What do you care about so much that it's worth the struggle? This book won't give you an easy answer, but it'll help you ask the right questions. And in a noisy world full of distractions, that might be the most important step. Not finding success, but finding meaning. So let's bring it all together. We just walked through 10 powerful books backed by top minds from Harvard, Stanford, and Yale. But more importantly, each of these books teaches a core life skill. Think clearly, with books like Thinking Fast and Slow, Write Well, with the elements of style, Connect with People, like in How to Win Friends and Influence People, Stay Gritty thanks to grit, Understand Others, with The Righteous Mind, Grow Through Challenges, with Antifragile, Adapt and Innovate, like in The Innovator's Dilemma, Understand Human Behavior, with The Selfish Gene, Think Bigger, with The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, Find Meaning through Man's Search for Meaning. Now here's your simple action step. Pick just one book from this list that spoke to you the most. Not the trendiest, not the one with the coolest title, just the one you feel pulled toward. Then, read it slowly. No rush. Each day, ask yourself, what's one small thing I can apply from this? Write it down. Try it in real life. Test it out. That's how real growth happens, not from reading more, but from doing more with what you read. You don't need to read faster. You need to read deeper. And when you finish that one book, you won't just be smarter, you'll be different. If even one of these book recommendations made you think, hit the like button. It helps this video reach more people who want to grow too. And if you want more easy to understand book guides that actually help you think better, live better, and grow faster, subscribe to Books Ahead. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment below. Which of these 10 books are you excited to read next? Or, which one have you already read, and how did it help you? Be honest. This is a no judgment space. We're all learning here. And if you're ready to stop just reading and start applying, I've got you covered. Check the description below. You'll find long-form summaries of powerful books, broken down in a way that's simple to understand and easy to implement. Start with just one. Watch it. Take notes. Apply one idea. And remember this as you go. Books are great. Reflection is powerful. But action is what changes your life. Until next time, keep reading, keep growing, keep applying. Because books don't just make you smarter. They shape who you become.